Hello.
Hello.
Hey
How's
everyone.
everybody doing?
It's awkward to ask this question with three people in the room.
How are you both doing?
Yeah, and then who can go first? Oh, well, Vika, go first.
Always ladies first. Come
No,
on.
of course.
Yeah.
How dare you, Gali? You're yeah.
Okay, happy Monday, guys. I'm doing very well. How are you, Peter?
I'm great, thank you. I'm at work at the office, and I'm meeting some of my favorite faces in the gaming space. So I couldn't be better. And Gali, how are you?
Well, I'm always good when I see you, Peter.
Still better.
I'm great. A good start to the week. It's one of my favorite times, to do these episodes. So yeah, I'm excited. And I mean, it wasn't too long ago you and I sat face to face having a conversation. So it feels like just yesterday I saw you.
Yes, and at the same time, I missed talking to you. Jesus, this is so sweet. We have to have a little bit more of banter, because otherwise, people will not want to listen to us being so nice to each other.
Absolutely. Well, I mean,
Tell me something.
we already. Well, I mean, there's no shortage of banter for sure. But between the banter, obviously, there's a lot of good content coming today, and I'm super excited. I mean, we've got a nice sign up already. I'm going to kick off the conversation today. Firstly, just welcoming everyone for another episode of Profile, so player behavior in a changing world. In today's episode, we're going to dive into a topic that's been really dominating conversations like throughout the industry, focusing on customer support, B2C operations, and technology as a whole. And that's the topic of AI. So more specifically here, we're talking about the relationship between automation and human interaction. So, if I look at some of the questions out there and what I've been seeing on like LinkedIn or in conversations, some of the questions out there are things like, where does AI genuinely create value? Where does it fall short? What are people, still getting wrong? Um, I mean, this is something that Victoria and I chat about as well. So, Victoria, I'll let you continue from here.
Yeah. So, given all these questions, we have invited Peter Sarzynski from Text, a global leader in omni-channel and AI/ML chat solutions, to actually talk about it, because pretty much Peter knows this intersection of AI, chat systems, customer experience, which is quite important to understand correct. Yeah. And today's discussion is centered around overall the customer support. And customer support is an important part of iGaming player engagement. So, like, doing it right is important, as well as all other parts of the player journey. And given that AI advances are pretty much very heavy, I would say, connected to the chatbots, like to the text, how you can communicate with the people. What we want to really unpack today is what is the good current state of customer support in terms of technology, and what we would like to actually welcome in the future, how the future looks like. So I think that's pretty much what we want to talk about. And of course, we start with the blitz questions. Like, this is one of our favorite parts with Scully. And so Peter hasn't seen them, of course. And Peter, for you, the rules. Just, shoot whatever comes first into your mind and try to be short, maybe. But of
No
course,
problem.
yeah. So let's start with the first one. Describe your work with AI and chat systems in 3 words.
My work with chat systems, as in my company's work,
Whatever. Yeah.
As you interpret it.
fast, reliable, and accurate.
Okay. Nice. What is the most common misconception about chatbots today?
um, I think the most common one is that everybody hates them. It's partly true because it's probably not the first time you're hearing it, or you probably have been annoyed by a bad chatbot in the past. But at the same time, there is a flip side. I'm hoping that we will uncover it in the code.
We will definitely, because I have a lot of examples from my side about chatbots. Good and not good as well. In your view, where does AI already outperform humans in support environments?
I would say that handling queries at scale with comparable results. Because again, like if you take 100 chats with players who had a problem with a deposit, you may argue that humans have more empathy than the bots, right? And that they will feel the customer more welcome, which may be true. It doesn't have to be, because there is only so much emotion you can envelop in a chat, right? But doing it with consistent accuracy and quality is something that machine does better. Simply the algorithm, the language model does better, because it does it in a very, very similar fashion every time, and that it doesn't get tired, right? I think the support agents, human support agents, are, well, they have been over the last year probably a bit scared for their jobs, right? Because when AI got public, everybody was like, okay, so first we automate customer support and then we'll see, right? And partly it is true, but what not everybody has thought about is that it also creates quite a large niche for what people can actually do together with AI. We have touched on this a little bit with Gali during our last conversation. So AI wins in consistency and speed, because at the end of the day, most of the players that come to you with um, an account setup question, a frustration around their deposit, a frustration with a withdrawal. Um, well, I'm repeating frustration quite often, right? Because the unpleasant truth is that your customers or your players don't really that often come to you to pat you on the back, right? They rather come when they have an issue, right? And so um, if the choice is nowadays you have to wait 7 minutes to get connected to a person, or get your case resolved with 75, 85, 90% accuracy immediately in the same minute, then I would say, I don't know, 97 out of 100 people would go for route 2. I
Also,
digress.
I'm
That was supposed to be Blitz. Jesus, I'm
Yes.
ruining.
I was going to say, I mean, it was so meaty, like I was almost in a trance for a moment there. But I'm going to put the pin on that note, because I'm going to come back to you on a similar topic, because I want to unpack that further. And it's something that people have asked before. So hold that thought, and we're going to come back to it.
No problems. Let's spark it.
Perfect. Okay, and the last Blitz question. So, what is one AI-related buzzword you wish the industry would stop using?
Workflow, I think. Or no, let me erase that. Dead.
Dead.
Dead, because like you cannot scroll LinkedIn now for more than 3 minutes to learn that whatever you did or whatever somebody did at work is dead now. Outbound is dead, inbound is dead, like personal outreach is dead, everything else is dead, because cloud work or whatever else does everything for you, right? So and usually when you go into this, when you bite, they will send you a lead magnet with 3 products that you need to purchase. So yeah, I'm not sure about the death of quite a few parts of work. Of course, the industry is changing, right? Like the whole world is changing. It's not secret. But if we could, move the narrative line to more of like, hey, let's do this instead, or let's like, people go for the very flashy stuff, like, well, this is dead, and now the only way to keep your job, or the only way to to retain whatever you liked is to buy this tool and just and do this instead. So I don't think
learned the
numbering
terminology for
tactics in
this
marketing.
the other day. I
Come
learned
again?
this terminology. I'm trying to educate myself with all these new like Gen Z terms and all of that. And so aside from recently learning what doom scrolling was, I have now learned what you've just described as rage bait.
Rage bait, yes.
Rage bait. So the intention of intentionally pissing off whoever's reading this, which forces them to engage because now they're triggered.
Yes. Yes.
So
I wish more companies were more Sigma and no affiliation to the organizers of the conference is just another Gen Z term apparently. So that they were more Sigma and advertise and market a bit more honestly and a bit less dramatically. But what do I know? It's just my opinion.
I suppose it's that goldfish mentality. Like you got to capture that audience like immediately. And on that note, I'm going to open up the first topic then for today. I want to go back to what people misunderstand about chatbots.
Mm-hmm.
Now, chatbots have existed for years. Yet many operators and businesses now still struggle with them.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen cases before of chatbots with typos, punctuation problems, spelling mistakes. It's just poor configuration. But from
Mm-hmm.
your perspective, what do people fundamentally misunderstand about chatbots and, in this case, automated conversation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we have to rewind a little bit and maybe distinguish a little bit, at least for the sake of the conversation, between chatbots and AI agents and LLMs and whatnot, right? Because it might be confusing. It gets confusing for me because and I'm sure that for everybody else as well. So when you say chatbot, do we think about a decision tree, an AI component? Like what exactly do you mean, Gally? Or general?
I think your question to the question is actually the answer to this question. Where everyone, the way I see it is like this: everyone puts them in the same box.
Yes.
A chatbot, an LLM, a decision tree, whatever it is, everyone's like, it's just automated service.
Yes.
But as you've just unpacked in one sentence, they're not the same. So
yes.
let's hone in on the first question there is, do we actually understand that there's a difference between these different mechanics and these different,
Mm-hmm.
options that we have available to us?
And it
Right.
would be also very good, just to kind of provide a bit of evolution, because again, chatbots, this is not something new. It's been like from 2010s, and we've seen all those chatbots and we experienced them. So there was a big development how you're using them, like what they can do. So if you could go with the evolution, that would be super helpful for everybody.
Of course. So the company I work for, Text, has been established in 2002 or 3, about 22, 23 years ago, right? And the primary first product was live chat, the one that most of the people of our clients use till this day, right? Live chat was essentially connecting, for example, you, Vika, to you, Gali, as a client and as a company, so that you can proactively or reactively speak to your customers who visit your sites, who visit your app, and stuff like this, right? Now, within the chat, you could also have a welcome message that would always be sent the same to customers, right? So, welcome to the store. How can we help you? Are you looking for this service? Blah, 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 right? And so at the beginning, it was only the first message that was sent, and I wouldn't know exactly who came up with chatbots. It probably wasn't somebody at our company, but we quite early developed a product called Chatbot. Chatbot.com is also from us, right? So basically, the idea here was that you can actually predict how the conversation is going to run, because the cases that your customers have issues with are not that different, right? They may be some nuances, some small caveats, but essentially when customers have issues with shipping, they have an issue with shipping. If they want to know the order status, they want to know the order status, right? Similarly in gaming, if they want to know their withdrawal, all you have to do is hook up the backend of your external systems and find the information about this particular customer, right? So on those events that you can predict, you can call them triggers. You can trigger or you can send a particular message, right, or display a particular product, right? So it's kind of like a back and forth mechanism, right? And in 2021, I believe, or 2021, 22, when OpenAI went public with ChatGPT, the first widely known instance, where it can actually talk to an LLM, and well, it's been quite amazing, right? Then companies providing bots started to also incorporate this stuff, the large language models, into their services. Some of them had own LLMs, some of them had like half owned, I would say, because they would be privately hosted LLMs, and some of them were just really connectors to the service from Gemini, Claude, or OpenAI. And and here's where we are right now, where you can actually the next step was actually kind of both, because then you can retrieve information, or you can pull data from a different data source and feed it into the answer of your bot. But you can now also trigger specific actions outside of your ecosystem, right? So you can trigger a refund, you can trigger a bonus application, for example, right? You can trigger whatever else. So the basic distinction I would put between chatbots and AI agents is that chatbots operate on information and AI agents perform actions, right? It's not to say that chatbots cannot perform actions, because those, trigger-based chatbots are perfectly capable of, for example, saving your data somewhere, right? But with AI agents, you do not have to predict every route your customers can take. All you have to do is you have to instruct the AI agent to do specific things, right? So you're not preparing a ready-made response. You let it analyze the logic. Now, the debate whether AI understands things is quite broad, and there are very mixed opinions. I recently saw a podcast with, I'm going to remember maybe a bit later, but the scientists are in dispute whether AI can understand or just simply process and, guess the next word, basically, and what understanding really means, whether you can actually get the machine conscious. So I'm not going to go that deep into the rabbit hole. But basically, yes, chatbots, for simple terms, at least for the purpose of this conversation today, chatbots would be trigger-based, simple, scalable processes built in a user interface that the user can interact with, versus AI agents being based on LLM, and also, for example, connected to MCPs, which can perform, or other sources of integration that can perform actions such as reduce my subscription, increase my subscription, blah, 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 right?
Mhm.
On a tangent. I see you're both nodding because you're very friendly, but I hope I didn't.
Processing this information, because this is what people don't talk about, and I think this is exactly why, as an industry, we are where we are, because we have the questions, but no one's answering them, or we assume that based on experience or based on what we see, like that this is what it is, and I think this is what we're quick to realize, or suppose you just prompt chat GPT and say, tell me what this is. But the reality is that we're moving in a direction now that the general service environment is changing. And I think that's what we're all experiencing right now, is we're going through that change. It hasn't completed yet, and I don't think it's something that will complete. It's something that will continue to flow as different operators, different businesses go through their stages of maturity. So it's never a completing process.
Yeah, I mean, if it is, then it's going to backfire, I would say, because if you have any process in business and you stop iterating, then it's gonna become redundant sooner or later, right? But yes, I believe you're right. With the bots in place, because you asked me about I believe, Gali, initially you asked me about the misconception about the bots and about the AI agents, right?
Yeah.
So I think the biggest one right now is that, or the biggest misunderstanding of it is that when you do have an AI agent based on LLM, the expectation is that it will do everything for you instantly, right? Without any effort on your side. And it is partly true, actually. That's why it's so misleading, because if you think about training an LLM, depending on the tool you're using, for example, with RA agents, it's very simple. You just simply plug in your sites, plug in your knowledge sources, can be PDFs, can be your websites, can be documents, can be anything else. You write the instructions, so you determine the behavior of the AI agents that you want to build. You enable certain skills, such as agent handoff or others. I won't bore you with the details, but you basically do that, and then you put it on your site, and it works, right? But this is also a process which you don't necessarily need to invest a lot of time in, but it doesn't come hands-free, right? And a good thing is, and again, it will look a bit like patting myself on the back, but a good thing to do, or a reasonable thing to do, is to find or talk to at least solution providers that have a lot of experience in that and are working with the whole variety of the gaming customers, because oftentimes you will find that somebody is selling you a particular vision, and then it goes live, and then it goes absolutely sideways, right? So you want to speak to somebody who had customers of your scale or organizations of your scale do those things and has had success, right? And yeah, I'm not sure
And
if that answers the
yeah, and here, like, just to follow up what you were saying, it really comes to my mind very fast is to talk about the Klarna case, because again, I mean, you don't need to go far away. There are quite a lot of different cases of how things might go well or go wrong. And I think Klarna case is a good one because it's actually quite well documented, so you can learn from it. And yeah, so maybe let me just go talk you through that. So like Klarna is a digital neobank. Yeah, in 2023, they were very first on the hype with the AI. They actually replaced 700 customer service employees with AI. They partnered with OpenAI, and they were kind of expecting to handle 75% of all customer conversations with chatbots. Yeah, but chatbots enabled by LLM with OpenAI.
right.
And they claimed quite a lot of savings, but at some point, actually the customer satisfaction dropped very much. Service quality declined, and their CEO publicly admitted that they went too far and that they actually focused too much on efficiency and cost rather than on the quality of the service. Yeah. And pretty much in 2025, they actually did like this turnaround in order to rehired human agents and didn't just fully dropped AI, not, but they kind of lowered the scale where the AI is used and kind of started to reuse it a little bit, like where it is safe, and use humans where where you actually need to use humans. And I think this is like a great case also just to talk a little bit more about how to actually make it right, like how to think about customer support, chatbots, AI agents, and should there be actually a combination of, let's say, chatbot, AI agent, and a human? Like, what is possible and what is kind of right now is very risky territory, so it's better not to go there. Very long question,
No,
but yeah, Peter.
that's a very, very good question, I would say. So on Klarna, I mean, there are a couple of categories of companies who went in different directions, right? During the start of the AI shift, some of them went all in, some of them were a bit more cautious, right? What we learned on case of Klarna, I believe, is that if you think about your support team, your customer care, your customer support, partly in some organizations, customer success, as a necessary evil, as a payroll of people you have to pay because they keep your customers happy, right? Okay, so let's keep them. If this is your thinking, then you probably can do it with AI, but your support then, or your conception about support, and then about growth and about a couple of other areas it influences, wasn't very good to begin with. Because you think about a function that you want to get rid of, you want to well, achieve whatever results. I'm not bashing Klarna, by the way. I think they are a very cool company. Their CEO actually had a pretty good public appearance on 11 Labs Summit. I recommend this conversation 100%. Two Polish guys, very good, very big startups, and the conversation was amazing. But my point is that if you look like the biggest shift in perspective is how you look at at the people who are the face of your company to your customers. If you think about them, look, they are going to be directly responsible for and communicating the most often with the people who pay our salaries, who pay for our company, who pay for our houses, mortgages, my savings, everything, right? If you think about that and appreciate the importance of this interaction, right? The question is not how much to automate, but what's the best outcome, right? And so if a customer is looking for a quick resolution and instant AI help, bang, okay, you can have it, right? But if they are looking for something else and your AI is there to make it very difficult for them to actually talk to somebody, that's not a good solution, right? Because then you're defending your very small team with the AI, and the outcome is that the customers will feel it, right? And the customers will get pissed off with gaming. It's especially a radiant example, I would say, with the VAPs, right? Because it's not that the VIPs don't want immediate answers, right? Because they do very often, right? But if they do need you and they keep bouncing off of the LLM or bouncing off of the chatbot, they will not wait around very long, right? So you want to look at this a bit more holistically than just simply automation a certain part. Maybe okay, automating the part, but not in like a company, be that iGaming operation, whatever other type of company, is never an isolated isolated process. It's a part of the ecosystem. And if we want to envelop like the whole ecosystem in a simple automation and expect for the clients to not feel the difference, then we are going to have a pretty rough time.
I think it also comes with that understanding that psychologically, as people, we have not yet fully accepted that a non-human engagement can run entirely autonomously, and that we can get the same satisfaction and success without needing another person. There's a psychological element. As beings, we are social creatures. We are, we grow up in a social setting. We are a part of society, community, work, whatever it is. Like, inherently we are used to having another human counterpart. We are now entering that stage, and I mean, you even see it in, like, if you look at how AI and banking have come together, it's the same reason why there is hesitation to allow, say, agentic wallets and giving AI autonomy over your bank account, because people are like, hell no, why the hell would I give AI access to go and buy me shoes, even though I can have the conversation with it and say, you know what, I do want those shoes. You do know my pair. You do know what color I want. And in 30 seconds, you can just go, please order me a pair of size, whatever, 10 New Balance running shoes, black. And it delivers it to my house 3 days later.
Yep.
A 30-second order and it's done for you. But no one wants to give the approval order for AI to now have access to your bank account. Yeah. It's the same logic. People have that block and that hesitation.
Yeah, I mean, yes, and like on the level of giving access to certain parts of our life that we would rather remain or keep private, right? It gets tricky a bit with the amount of free running that the AI agents can do. The question is, I guess, like globally across the whole AI, is how rapidly things are going to develop, and whether in 15 or 20 years time, if you want to opt out of certain things, will you be able to? And these questions, unfortunately, I do not know the answer to. But yeah, again, it can be extremely useful to have it in place for all kinds of customers. but you have to be conscious about what you want. If you want it as a replacement, okay, it will work. It can backfire, as we know from Klarna's case, as we know also from Air Canada case, where a claim for a refund was accepted. But it can also go beyond that for you. So you can also put it on a fence. I mean, the service.
But here I just wanted to disagree a little bit, because like when I have to talk to customer support, and especially if I understand that, I will have to wait on a line to actually get a person to talk to me, and my case is not difficult, I would rather have machine handling my requests, accessing my, details of the order and stuff, and I'm absolutely fine with it.
Hmm.
So like in such case, I would be happy to, have machine fixing everything for me very fast. However, on the other side, I think this is what we are quite often experiencing, is that machine typically, like the chatbot, typically just have some pre-recorded answers. It doesn't have the access to the information regarding the order and stuff. And then because of that, you have problem, because you're trying to explain your case, and the machine doesn't understand. And then you're going into details, and at some point I'm just, I'm like, okay, I need an operator. And then I'm like operators 3 times, and they're like, okay, I understood, you need a human, please. So I think this is just kind of a little bit broken logic, yes, that is being quite often used in terms of like where chatbot actually will be super helpful, and where probably you just need to direct it straight to the operator so that the person doesn't feel frustrated. So I'm
Right.
thinking that, like, again, coming back to the question from the very beginning, I think, understanding where to use what, like whether this is a chatbot, where there should be AI agent here, where it should be a human. I think that's like a big deal already in order
It
to
is.
have successful
It is.
customer support.
And also there is the question of habit. If you're planning to automate, right, and you want to have AI agents or chatbots, many companies, and in iGaming not so much, or maybe not more than broadly across the market, but many companies would hide the widget, right, or would keep it only in the help center, right? And what happens? Okay, I'm a customer, I have an issue, I think the AI agent will not be able to help me. I look for the chat icon, and you know what are the three most, like across the whole internet, what are the three most popular words people say to an AI agent or to a chatbot?
I'm gonna take a guess just to see if this might be one, but I'm going to use the word human.
Precisely. So
Yes.
agent, or human, right?
There we go.
This is probably not precise data, but this is what you do if you want to speak to a human, especially with like, high latency voice bots, right? Or the chatbots that you see are just trigger based, right? So if that happens, like if you do it reactively, you cannot hope to change the habit of, or the habits of your audience, right? Now, think about the same situation, but instead of waiting for them to come to you with the problem, you are observing that they are on a page where historically there have been some issues for customers because, for example, they are looking at pricing, for example, for opening an account, right? Or they are looking at your bonus page or your sign up page for an extended period of time, right? Or for the third time that day, right? And imagine that you start the conversation, not the player or the customer, right? If they start and their habit is, okay, I need to speak to a human because the machine will not be able to help me, they will go to a human, even though their case may be simple. But if you do a proactive message based on your historical data with them, where they are on the page, and what could be the potential fix, they will not need the escalation because they will feel like they are already taken care of. Right? You were there invisibly. You were the shop assistant that saw somebody looking at the product, not the annoying shop assistant, of course, that wants to take all of your money, but the shop assistant who actually, for example, when I go by a shirt. I always have problems with that, right? Because I have unusually long arms, right? And so if there is a shop assistant who brings me like 4 different types of shirts, so I can have a good measure, I'm thrilled, I'm happy, right? Because when I go and I have to ask, like, look, my hands are not normal, right? My arms. You have to help me out here, right? It's embarrassing for me. and and if they come because they can see that they, it's an entirely different user experience, and you would be I mean, well, I'm not sure if you would be, because I'm not sure if this has ever been a subject of interest for you, but if you look across the internet, the places where you can actually have a good proactive support are very, very few. These are some of our most successful clients, right? So if you think about the conversions, for example, if you want to convert a lot of your traffic on an iGaming site, do you want to wait for the customers to have issue and come and scream for a human? You do not, right? You want to, because, well, 90% of them will not, and the 10% that will do will ask for a human, right? But if you do it proactively, if you are present throughout their journey and you personalize the message according to the criteria that you observe as the company, I mean, this leads to unprecedented outcomes. And this, like, you can forget for those cases, you can forget the CSAT, you can forget the regular metrics, because you have just saved a client or gained a client or been in touch with a client who normally would never, think about contacting you.
No, you're heading.
It came to my mind.
Sorry, go for it, Victoria. I'll go after you.
I just want to say that it came to my mind that actually this is a definition of customer care, because like many people are right now naming the team's customers like the customer support previously, but now it's like customer care. But care is always about like when you actually place in
when you actually
the
care,
human
right?
first. Yeah. And this is, I think that sounds very cool. So in I guess in a gaming context, this is like if the withdrawal, let's say, failed, actually the the whatever how you call it, like the chatbot or
the chat widget.
The chat widget, so it comes up and says, oh, we've seen that you had a problem, seems like this is this, like how about you try that. So I mean that makes sense, and that sounds and builds a lot of trust.
Yes, it definitely does. And the top operators are using it in this way. Like, look, you have a sign up page, you have 1 million monthly visitors to sign up page, you see that 20% of them are dropping out. What are you going to do? Well, first, of course, you're going to fire your UX UI specialist, because this much is dropping out, then probably not a great job. But after that, when it's still high, what you're going to do is to, well, understand them a bit better, right? And understanding, a conversation in my playbook has gone a long way to understanding the other person very often, right? And in the pursuit of automation and efficiency and crazy growth at scale, we forget that retaining a customer or getting a customer good experience beats your flashy marketing strategy and beats your 200% FTD bonus, right? It's something that really distinguishes the good company. I have a habit of dropping out in like half of the webinar developed last time with Gali. Guys, I need just 10 seconds to turn on the AC here because I'm boiling.
While you're doing that, an interesting point here, and I think this is something for operators in general to take note of, because businesses have identified that there are shortfalls in poorly configured systems. And we know what those touch points are. We understand where we need to engage, what those triggers are. And it still surprises me that when we go out to shop for a solution that meets all those requirements, we're still basing it purely on price, as opposed to, say, functionality and actually mitigating some of the issues we've identified. And then to make up for any kind of shortfall, we substitute that price by, I don't know, a retrenchment or reduction in human capital. The reality of it is, and I can use text as a fantastic example, we know that AI and VIP have a bit of a tension-filled relationship, but the reality is that there are 100% use cases between leveraging tech in supporting VIP. And Peter, I mean, I've been fortunate to see this in action in our masterclass, even where, the demonstration that we gave to operators was, if you know it's a VIP customer, if you know that they have an account manager, if you know that they live within a portfolio, highlight it when the AI prompts them. Victoria, thank you. Welcome back. It's so good to see you again. Your account manager, Pete, is currently out of the office. While he's out of the office, why don't I transfer you to Daniel, who's the VIP on duty right now? And if you need something, just let me know. Boom, click here if you want to go. It is so easy. It is so seamless if you have the right partner that understands the pain point, or as an operator, you've been able to identify it and you direct your supplier to build you what you need to address your pain point. There is no one-stop solution that is not going to ask you, what do you actually need to address, or what are you trying to address? Any operator that thinks by getting a technology it solves all your problems with minimal involvement, I think is a bit deluded. But the reality of it is that we're aware now, and the customer doesn't have to be aware. We need to be aware.
Mhm.
That's the reality of it. It's not the job of our client to solve our problems.
Agreed. But it's also not a trivial question, to answer. If you go to a supplier and you say, "Oh, look, I would want this to be my end effect," right? And then as a consultant or as a salesperson, you would ask why, what exactly you want to achieve, what you want to improve, blah blah blah. And to answer those questions nowadays in any kind of business, and in gaming especially, I think, because right now what the uh, how with how the saturation of gaming market looks in the um, global perspective, and with the regulations in many places, uh, it's becoming more and more difficult to stand out, right? Because everybody can invest in certain practices that uh, scale in a different way. But if you really want to stand out, then you want to think about every element. Okay, if you take customer experience, on the grill and think about it, what to automate, where to place, which communication channel, right? These are valid questions, and having no answers to them is okay, because depending where you are, who you have on board, what you've tried in the past, this is where you find the answers. If somebody is telling you, look, I built this great bot for iGaming and it can solve 90% of your question because this is the bot for iGaming, I don't know if I would necessarily trust that person. I would rather trust somebody who would say, look, we've been doing this with 2,000 operators. Here are some of them, their names. I'm not sure if we are the right fit for you. We may be more expensive than what your customer is going to be paying you more in the uplift. We may be in a great ballpark of return on investment. No problems. We can talk, right? And we can find out. And we can find out those answers together. And this is how you, well, at least in my playbook, this is how you uh, find the right amount of placement, automation, proactiveness, reactiveness, VIP routing. It's all like, if you do want it to be, uh, if you do, like, sometimes your use case will be very simple, and all you need to do is to plug and play. Of course, right? This is one of the main selling points that we have for text, is that we are building those use cases that are repeatable across businesses. You can tweak them, right, and then you can launch them in minutes, right? The speed is really crucial, right? Um, but to answer those questions in detail of whether this should be an automated case or a human handled case, whether you can simply put a chatbot in place and reduce the workload by 50%, right, for the people, whether it's better than putting an AI agent in place that will do 70% but will cost 8 times more. These are not obvious questions, and they will differ client to client, right? So you want somebody who will look at your case very deeply and understand, before advising, understands your situation. And yeah, I think that's what's missing. Like, there has been this study from, I don't know who it was from, but I think MIT again, that 95% of the AI-led investments in 2025 missed their mark, right? But that's the issue. The issue is not that they've missed the mark. The issue is, where is the mark, right? Customers come to you saying, I want this to be automated. This is the mark. And if you do 3/4 of it, you're failed. Okay, cool. But, when you think about the reference point, and you think about where you actually, if you actually know where you're supposed to be going, or where you want to go, like, again, this is not trivial. This is like this. Oh, we lost Gali. It was.
Well, this is his term right now. Like before that was you, but now
I'm back.
it's Gali. It was fast.
I have no idea what happened there. Like everything just went dark.
I see.
I don't know. My
Okay,
computer
Peter.
learned from Peter.
You're suggesting it's contagious.
No, it's all good. I'm back.
Yeah. So hopefully I'm not going to be the next one. So here, coming, like Peter, if I'm an operator, yeah, and I'm thinking about chat, again, how you said that chatbot, chat. How to properly name it?
If you think about your clients and how to communicate with them, is how I would go.
Okay. So if I'm an operator, yeah, like, what should I expect from the chatbot in terms of, I don't know, like if you can provide any ranges, yeah, in terms of like automation of some simple tasks, I guess. And where do you see that the human interaction remains irreplaceable?
Of course, I can give you benchmarks. I can give you a benchmark. Every company that does similar that we do will give you benchmarks, anywhere between 50 to 75% of the workload can be automated with, between 75 and 95% of CSAT, right? So great, those benchmarks are cool, but what do they mean? Do they mean that if you're below that, your AI sucks and you shouldn't be doing it? Not really, or maybe. The question here is more about what's the gain and what's the loss from the automation. If the gain is you've had 100,000 conversations and you've had 10 people to resolve them, and you had to pay 10 salaries, right? This is the cost. Now you have, say, 95% CSAT across those. Okay, fine. Now you put an AI agent in place and you do those conversations automatically, and you route the 30% of conversations to your human team that is 5 people now, right? You've paid some money for the AI agent, you've paid some money to the people, and you get similar results. This is a very clear case that you have to weigh against how much you pay, what's your strategy, what's your scaling, right? But there are also all sorts of fringe cases where on paper it will look like you're automating a lot, but then you're losing in monetary value also quite a lot, right? So if you choose a one-size-fits-all solution, or a solution that you haven't really gotten a good advice on, what can happen is, for example, your VIP agent gets mixed up with the bot or with the AI agent. It doesn't pass them to their account management on time, and then they churn, right? And let's say that they were responsible for 100K of your revenue, right? That's a pretty costly mistake, right? And those mistakes do happen everywhere. We had a customer, I believe it's ND8. So with the previous provider, they had this exact problem that I told you about, and now we are developing. What we are developing for them is custom groups within Telegram, where they can reach their support or their account managers on voice and video inside a Telegram group 24/7, right? So these are like, if you know your audience well, you will know what they want, right? This VIP customer, if they want to go to the general page and chat with the frontline AI agent, they still can, right? But they always have access to a human, right? And this is what they pay for. This is the privilege that they are buying, right? So again, good benchmarks. I would say that, well, the industry average of resolution rate is at about 70-75%. The average satisfaction from those, I think it circles around 80%. I could share some stats with you with our own team, but I don't have them on hand, so I can post them in the webinar itself on LinkedIn, because I think this is quite interesting how our team approaches it. Most of our customers get, with the automated slash human cases, they don't go below 80%. At least unless there is a specific, because different markets also react differently, right? So you will have places where positive feedback is never shared, right? And so every bad score you get is just that, right? And it's pulling your overall down. And the thing about benchmarks is they are useful, but you have to understand what you're measuring, and you have to understand your current situation, right? Because think about it,
And
you have
and the specifics of your case, because it seems like for VAP teams, like this is not a solution, especially at the moment when there are so many hallucinations still that like it's and there are definitely going to be more edge
Yes.
cases.
You have to look for
Yeah.
a solution with almost no hallucinations like ours. So but the thing about it is that also the benchmarks, the interpretation of benchmarks can give you skewed results. Because, for example, look at this. You're launching a new market. You don't know that much about it, right? You have 1,000 chats coming in, right? And you have, let's say, a 36% satisfaction. So 36% of the chats were rated positive. The rest was unrated or negative, right? 36. Now you automate those chats, all of them, right? With your super AI agent. That is, a good one, decent one, for example, one from us. And you get a 40% CSAT. Now 40% CSAT would be below the benchmark, if you look at it, right? Below what other companies can brag that they do. But is it really bad if your human team had 36%? Right? Maybe it is. It's like what I'm saying again is that it's not a trivial question. It depends where you are, what you're comparing, and what you really want to do long term, and what kind of service you want to have the impact on. Now, we at Text, what we do is we put your service on a fence. So we make sure that you are proactive where you need to be proactive, and we make sure that your customers feel your presence, but not in the shop assistant annoying way that wants to pull your money, but where you actually matter, when it actually matters, so that it can boost your revenue results and ultimately become a profit engine.
Okay, so we are a bit running out of time. We typically try to squeeze some of the questions from the audience that we are having in the chat. And I know that Gali has a next meeting in 7 minutes, so we do need to wrap up quite fast. I think we can pretty much. We did want to cover a little bit about like what the future might look like, but let's
why don't we
have
summarize it in the quickest snapshot overview, Peter. What the future for? Sorry, Victoria, go for it.
No, I just wanted to say that one sentence, Peter. Yeah. If it is possible, let's do it.
What does the future for operators, support teams, and AI look like?
I would say this: good service sells. So if you look at your revenue, if you look at your growth, service, it should be put on a fence. It should not be reactive. We've resolved these many cases. We are, the first response time is this. It should be, we have landed you 2,000 new players with first deposits, and we are always there when they need us, and they love you, and they want more of you. So that would be my take.
Yeah.
Nice.
That reminds me of my favorite digital bank that I'm using in Ukraine, which has fully human customer support. and this and I mean, and this is kind of their USP a little bit as well, because they're kind of, and again, that works for them so far. We'll see how
no wonder so many companies are doing this so poorly that even if you say, look, we have human agents and no AI, some people will say, yeah, well, great, that's great service, right? But again,
Yeah.
it's always a trade-off, and the trade-off is it doesn't scale. So, to each their own.
Yeah. Okay. So we have 5 minutes. I've seen amazing, I think, question. Let me
There's
just
some great
do.
questions,
Let's
yeah.
take. Yeah, they were quite good, all of them. I think one question was very interesting, and here I guess Peter is like, what would be super helpful is like how to make the human interaction, like human agents and AI chatbots, seamless in terms of customer
The handover
care.
process, Peter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, the handover, there are basically two school of thoughts in here. One school of thought is you should not let the customer know that they are not talking to a human. You should pretend to be a human. I'm personally not a fan of that school. I would rather be upfront that you are talking to AI, and so it makes it so much easier, because then if you do need an escalation to a human, the AI says just like, let me connect you with blah blah blah, and then you get the right routing rules to connect you with exact person whom you want to speak with. So this is again, maybe it's not the smoothest in a sense of you have to come clean and you have to come forward that you have been taken care of by AI, and now we are going to hand you off to human. But doing it quickly and doing it to the right human, because nobody likes to be rerouted 3 times, and doing it within the same conversation window, I would say that's a great that's as smooth as it gets.
Amazing.
Cool. Understood. Thank you. And there was one more question that we actually just discussed right now, I think, regarding like if we're already so technologically advanced, like why is a human, when they come into customer support, need to explain what has happened, but like why the like it is not possible yet, or is it possible, maybe let's go it like that, to actually pull all the information when actually the chatbots can say, oh, I see you had a problem, it seems like this. So is it a future, or is it already happening now and can be used?
Well, it depends really on the case, because if the system can observe that there has been an issue, then instead of coming to the customer to tell them that there is an issue, they would fix it and just never mention it, right? Or come clean and say there was an issue but we fixed it. But sure, yes, I mean, it all depends on how deeply you want to embed the AI agents into your ecosystem, right? When you have the API access, you can really put it everywhere you want, right? And then the possibilities are endless, really, and it's hard to predict whether it will be a future, to some extent, for sure. But if it's going to be able to see the problems that your customers have, fix it for them, inform them about this, it is turning into kind of like a self business, self development for the business, I would say. So there is once we get to this kind of future, at least in my opinion, it's where a lot of us will not be necessary in a business either. So
Well, I mean, we're only discussing AI right now in one vertical. There's AI in CRM, there's AI in analytics, there's AI in all layers of this industry right now that are working complementary and independently.
Mhm.
Nothing says that in a near future we're not going to see some kind of AI omni-channel or AI aggregation platform that merges all these AI solutions in one box, and suddenly you have this entirely AI integrated ecosystem that talks to each other with a few humans manning it on the other side.
Mhm.
It really is possible. We're living in that world now that if you can think it, you can build it. So, anything is really possible. And I think,
But not
on that
everything.
note,
Sorry, guys, to interrupt, but the thing is that even though you can build everything, it doesn't mean you should. So
100% agree with that.
critically about what you're building, and it's like, for what we were talking about, for the conversation of customer support or customer care in gaming, don't bite on every single flashy new thing, right? Think about what your players, what your niche will actually appreciate, and it will help your team, right? Just because
Yeah.
the whole market is talking about something doesn't mean it will fix all of your problems. It may, but you have to think about it, and you have to talk to a person you trust, or
It
to
also,
an AI agent you trust.
yeah,
I don't believe everything you read on LinkedIn either.
exactly. This is actually sometimes I can catch the anxiety from reading LinkedIn because I'm like, okay, revolution has happened already and I missed it. But actually, it's not. Typically, it's not. Yeah, okay. So we do need to close right now. This has been a fascinating discussion. Thank you very much, Peter, for joining and for kind of bringing a bit clarity around like how to think about customer support. As
Pleasure.
usual, we don't have the perfect answers because it's all about logic and how you put it into context. Yeah. And so we hope that for all our listeners, we hope today's episode help you also a bit understand like how to think about technology, to think about human in the loop still, and where humans are irreplaceable. And thank you for joining us. And the next episodes will be coming at some point. We are pretty late typically with announcement, but we will try our best to be a bit more predictable next time.
Make sure you tune in, guys. These two are awesome. Victoria, Gali, thanks for having me, and thank you to everybody who tuned in.
Thank
Cheers,
you.
everybody. See you guys at the next one.